Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. You are listening to a rebroadcast of a previously recorded show.
All right, again, we're live in the Miami Book Fair Authors Corner, Total Education Network, and again, TotalTutor.net. For more information, on Twitter, at TotalTutor or at TotalBookBlog. And Casey, who's next up?
Next up, we have Ray Kelly.
All right, this one just really is an interesting story for sure, so I'm excited to welcome the program, Ray Kelly. Ray, thanks for calling, and how are you?
I'm fine, Neil. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
It's busy down here.
Oh, it's busy, isn't it? Oh, yeah. It's the first time I was at the fair in 2011, I did get the opportunity to come out to interview the authors in person, and I was absolutely blown away by the festival part of it, to the different breakout sessions, to just the hustle and bustle in the green room as you're seeing Ray being pulled from one place to the other. So it's just a great place to honor books, isn't it? And to promote books.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun.
Okay, so this is a really interesting, Ray, I would definitely want to have you on the program again because there's so much we could talk about, especially at this time and place. But, again, tell us your background because it's a fascinating background, Ray, and there's a lot we can chat about in our time, in the time that we have together. So tell us your background, Ray.
Well, I was in the NYPD, New York City Police Department, for over 40 years. I was the commissioner, the head of the department twice, the last time for 12 years under Mayor Michael Bloomberg. I was also undersecretary of the Treasury in the Clinton administration, and I was the U.S. Customs Commissioner. I spent time in Haiti with the intervention that went on in 1994. I was in charge of the International Police Monitors. I was the vice president of Interpol. I was in the Marine Corps and retired as a colonel from the reserves. I served a tour in Vietnam, and I was the boxing commissioner as well in New York State. So looks like I can't hold a job, but I've been around. I've had a fair amount of experiences, and I've been blessed in that regard.
Well, Ray, your bio doesn't do you justice that I found on the website for sure. With the experiences for sure. So what made you delve into writing a book? That's got to be definitely out of your comfort zone for sure, with how busy a person you are and all the things you've experienced in your life.
Well, I think all the experiences that I mentioned and opportunities, I think they're resulted in lessons learned, and sort of interwoven in the book, and I wanted to memorialize those lessons in some way, shape, or form. Also, my predecessors all wrote books, and I had served longer than all of them combined. So I thought it was appropriate for me to follow suit, so to speak.
Definitely. So let's kind of delve into specifically enough your book, and again, it's very interesting in how you protected America in so many ways. So it's about your 50 years of law enforcement leadership. So tell us about the name of the book and also what it entails.
The name of the book is Vigilance, and it just as the name implies, it talks about my experiences sort of protecting New York City and my time in the service and my time in the federal government. And my message ultimately is we have to be vigilant, and we can see what's happening in the world today, that message must continue. But it goes through my time as a police officer on the streets of New York. It talks a little bit, as I say, about Vietnam. I was fortunate to work for a lot of people that I was very impressed with: Michael Bloomberg, Bill Clinton, Bob Rubin, the Treasury Secretary, Larry Summers, and I think I learned a lot from them and from those experiences, and I tried to put some of that down in the book. I also talk about police practices. I talk about the issue of stop, question, and frisk, and that if it's not used, and used appropriately, of course, but if it's not used, it's going to result in higher levels of violence, and I think we see that in places throughout America, and I think we see it in New York. I also talk about the contemporary situation, what's going on in law enforcement today. I say that it's time that police wear cameras, the police officers themselves. Mm-hmm. I wasn't always in favor of that, but certain incidents I think have made it inevitable. It's just going to, it's going to be standard equipment in the next few years for police officers. And the purpose of that, as far as I'm concerned, is to validate what police do. You'll see a lot of YouTube videos that show police, allegedly acting inappropriately, but yes, you don't see the beginning of the video.
No, you don't. You don't.
It's edited, and yeah, this gives at least the potential to capture the whole incident. And I think we'll see a lot more good, beneficial, heroic work on the part of the police than any inappropriate conduct.
Now, Ray, what's really interesting about your book is when you talk about specifically enough the timing of this. The last year, police officers have gone through probably one of the worst times, I think, a period of time of respect factor and trust factor. Ray, and you wrote this book before that occurred, right? You were in the process of writing that before all of this has come up, right? Or was this one of the reasons why you read it?
Well, not really. I do address that in the book. I talk about Ferguson. I talk about Walter Scott being shot by the police officer in North Charleston, South Carolina. So Eric Garner. And I think the period you're talking about sort of coincides with these events. Police officers do feel that their profession, their business, has been attacked, mostly unfairly. Some of the criticism, it's justified, but the vast majority of cops do a terrific job day in and day out, put their lives on the line all the time. And we just don't really get an accurate sense of how much the cops do to improve the quality of life throughout America. It's such an important factor in quality in any town, any community. So.
Right. The profession of police is just like any other profession. There's some bad apples. There's bad apples in teaching. Right. There's bad apples of doctors. There's bad apples of lawyers. There's bad apples of any profession. But for most part, police officers protect us. That's the greatest, most important thing, I think, is that the police protect us, or there'll be lots of crime. And secondly, they enforce the law. Protect meaning for safety-wise, but enforce the laws. If we didn't have laws, it'd be complete chaos. So that's
absolutely
why we need it. And I ended up going to the emergency room on a real freak accident, and a police officer came to our house before I went in the ambulance. And I told him, "Thank you for what you do. I feel so bad for you, and I'm praying for you for what's happening and how you're being persecuted." Told him that because
very nice.
And Ray,
very
I'm sure
appreciated too.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And Ray, and this is the sad point, how you, especially speaking here in Miami, at times people are going to, I'm glad you're here to speak, because sometimes they misunderstand what your job was and what the job of a police officer is. Am I correct? Yes,
absolutely. And, the police are charged with the responsibility of sometimes making split-second decisions that, yes, can cost people their lives. And it's never easy. And say when businesses make a mistake, it costs money. When cops make mistakes, it can cost lives. So it's a high-stakes game, and a lot of it is just, second guessing after a decision was made based on the facts as the officers saw it at the time. But it's been a difficult period for police officers because of the so-called Ferguson effect and things that emanated from some of these high profile cases. But I know for me, I'm very proud to have been part of the profession and really cherished my experiences.
Now, do you write about September 11th in your book? What happened at all?
I do.
Right about,
I write about it.
You do.
I'm sorry. I was not in government at the time. I had just left the federal government, and I was in Midtown Manhattan when it happened. And I lived literally 2 blocks away from the World Trade Center. So I was in a executive suite, and I actually saw the building fall, and it was such a jolt. I had been the commissioner in 1993 when the first World Trade Center attack took place. And I remember sitting in the basement that night with an engineer, a Port Authority engineer, who had just cut himself out of the elevator with his keys. He had been trapped in there for like 12 hours, or about 9 hours. And so he sat down and we were giving him water. And he said, we were down in the basement looking at these huge pillars that were holding the building up. He said, this building could never come down. You could never take this building down. Right. And I remember that. It struck me then when I saw the building going down. It was like incredible. And, of course, seeing it go down, you knew that many, many, many lives were being lost as it went down. So we, as a department, the police department, and as a part of the Mayor Bloomberg administration, after he was elected, we knew we had to do something more to protect the city. He had been hit by 2 successful terrorist attacks, and we wanted to supplement what the federal government was doing, and we did. We created our own counterterrorism bureau. We brought in experts from the CIA, from the military, and set up an operation that had never existed before in a municipal police agency. And I think it's worked, but there's no guarantees. Obviously, every day is a new day in this country, and certainly in New York City. The threat is ongoing. It's an enduring threat, and we just have to be very much aware of that.
We have to be very much aware of it, Ray. And now we were talking mostly about, that's the perfect segue to France and Paris, and that we're talking about we want police officers to get out of our lives, certain narratives going that way, and then we have something like this where our safety is in true danger with what happened in Paris. And then we talk about September 11th. So I know in your book it touched upon specifically the job of police officers are not just to protect, situations like crime, overall crime, but terrorism. And now with the chance of another terrorist attack happening in the United States, it's the police officers are the first people on site to assess before something like this happens or be there to protect, correct?
Yeah, in New York City, there's well over 1,000 police officers every day devoted to the counterterrorism functions, and you do what you can, of course. And they have many on the street now with heavy weaponry, but a portion of that is to raise the comfort level of the public, because there's anxiety, there's unease, and you can feel it in big cities in America, certainly after Paris. But we do live in a dangerous world, and when you're up against an enemy who is willing to give up his or her life, it makes it very, very challenging indeed. Challenging to find them and to address the threat. But it's done in conjunction with the federal government. There's a lot of cooperation these days between the FBI and local police agencies, and it's something that has to continue.
And so that's where coming through this book is to show how important your life of service, how you protected others, how you've led, and how people have to understand police officers and understand the importance of police officers, and to understand the fact is if you see a video of a police officer doing something wrong, make sure you see the entire scene, the whole story, before jumping to conclusions, because without police officers, it's absolute chaos. So where's the best place we can purchase your book, Ray, and learn more about you? Where can we go?
Well, obviously, any place books are sold, Amazon, Walmart, Costco, independent bookstores. You can get the audio version, which I narrated myself. So I think it's a pretty good read, and the reviews have been very favorable. So I'm happy and pleased with that.
Well, good luck today in your talk, and hopefully we can understand that we need authority figures in our life. We need police officers. We need teachers. We need certain people. We need parents to mentor and help us and protect us through the difficulties in life and making the wrong choices and decisions. Without your service, it would be utter chaos. And thank you for your service as a police officer and a commissioner.
Thank you so much, Neil. I really appreciate it. Keep up the great work.
Ray. Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Okay, bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own and shall not be construed in any way as advice from Life Improvement Radio. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our website. Personal perspectives expressed by the producers, writers, or editors will always be presented as such. Any rebroadcast or retransmission without the expressed written consent of Life Improvement Radio is strictly prohibited. Thanks for listening.